Let me tell you, I love the work I do so much. It's like if I'm living my vacation and my dream every day. It's so wonderful to see, that this isn't going to be wasted. Families can use it. All the things that are good that could be reused.
Welcome to Wild Development Studio. Join us as we venture into the breathtaking realm of wildlife arts and untamed adventures. With captivating stories from the field and ideas to dive into the visual arts, we'll ignite your passion for conservation. Get ready to develop something wild.
Welcome to a very special episode of Wild Developments. I am your guide, Lauren, and in honor of World Turtle Day, we're talking to a beautiful soul with a special connection to turtles and tortoises. Aleeyah Amanda Ali, along with her partner, operate a community and animal protection center called the Foundation for Heritage Preservation and Legacy Creation in beautiful Arima in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. They provide support to underserved members of their community with education, nature care and conservation, food security and growing, and legacy creation. They have a particular expertise in rare tortoise care, upcycling tires into pet beds, and growing food to support the community via the food bank, seed bank, and propagation programs. And these are just some of the many amazing things they do to support their community. Believe it or not, by the end of the show, you will see how Aleeyah has beautifully connected these seemingly unrelated missions together and providing hope for a brighter tomorrow in Arima. Thank you so much for being here today, Aleeyah.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting us to join you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to doing what you are doing now?
Growing up on an island, nature is all around you. It's beautiful. It's inviting you outdoors. I am a direct descendant of the indigenous First People, so I spent a lot of time visiting my family's clan on the edge of the forest and being intrigued in seeing nature and wildlife. And from a little girl, I've had a special relationship with turtles and tortoises. My mother and grandfather were both and are indigenous rehabilitators of wildlife. My mom was looked after orphan forest animals since she was also 6 years old. So since we have been keeping rescued and injured turtles and tortoises in our properties, some of the workers who look after green spaces in our area observed that we were rehabilitating turtles and tortoises, and the community started asking us to take in injured animals. So just prior to my retirement, I opened a center at this property, our Heritage Learning Resource Center, Nature Park and Animal Sanctuary, which is supervised by the Forestry and Wildlife Division of our government. So I send a report to them every month on the work that I'm doing here. I do educational outings. It's a children's production company with Discovery zooming in on the indigenous. Redsy's a clown, and she engages children in schools and libraries, taking live animals and a magical portable set and engaging children using paintings and props and so on. But at the end of the program, she introduces them to live animals which are hidden in the room. So the children didn't know that they had live friends. They were meeting all inanimate friends, toys and pictures and paintings and audiovisual stimulants. And at the end of the program, they actually get to meet some of the animals that we have rehabilitated or that will hatch here with us. Our center recently recorded in the last 2 years captive bred yellowfoot tortoise hatchlings, and they are critically endangered in our range.
So, a couple things. This is basically a family business for you guys.
Yes, it is. It's a clan structure, but there are many people outside of the family and outside of the our indigenous relatives that see the importance of the work and have come on board as helpers, volunteers, sponsors, donors. No, we must expand because this is a problem that we are solving for our entire country and the world. We mustn't allow another species to go, um, to become lost or extinct. And turtles and tortoises are amongst the most vulnerable species in the world, but they're also some of the most important because they are seed dispersers and they help keep the balance of the biodiversity and regrow the forests. Because turtles and tortoises eat fruit and keep without damaging the seeds, and then they pass the seeds out afterwards, and they walk a very wide range. They help to grow new trees in the forest. They're also scavengers and cleaners. So if you imagine when rain falls or when other animals climb trees or when they eat and they leave fruit behind, or when fruit falls to the ground, when flowers fall to the ground, those are the things that turtles and tortoises eat. But they also eat carrion, the body of dead animals in forests, and they also eat the dung of other animals, the droppings. So they are great um, cleaners of the forest floor and they help keep the biology of the forests going. They're very important parts of the ecosystem.
So I love turtles too, and I have never thought of that part with the tortoises being seed dispersers. Do the kids
Yes.
love it when you're educating them and you're talking about, turtle poop and why it's important to our environment?
Yes, and quite often our turtle ambassadors do give us poop on the way because it's long journeys to where we're going. And we also take the Kairi seed bank. We have a plant propagation, seed harvesting, and seed bank unit on our foundation. So we take our seed bank with us as part of our display, teaching children about collecting seeds, which is something I've also done as a little child. I started collecting seeds and planting them into little containers. And every time we would go to relatives in rural areas who had large homesteads, mixed use homesteads, we would take those seedlings to them. And 30 years later, the animals that I look after are actually benefiting from some of those same fruit trees because when I visit those estates, they send food from those trees to the animals. So it's hugely important what we're doing. It's a circular economy is not something new. This is what our ancestors did many, many generations ago because the world was a lot smaller in many ways. And you did need to practice keeping things together and interdependent. And
Oh, you froze again. That's all right. Um,
sorry,
oh no, no worries. Um, it's cool that we're able to talk at all with the great distance and everything. Um,
yes. Technology is so amazing. It is it and during the pandemic, I think we saw it broke down so many barriers in terms of using technology to do things and to enable people. So I think that's wonderful. We have been educating online since Facebook started. We have been posting up pictures of how we feed the animals, how we keep the animals, where they live, because a lot of people keep species and they don't understand. Yes, turtles and tortoises will eat everything you give them, but as their caregiver in captivity, you need to provide what is the best for them and not just what they will eat or accept. Because a lot of turtles and tortoises, they suffer in silence for a long time because they live so many years and they could survive on little. And when a tortoise or turtle gets sick, they don't show signs until it's to the point of their death's door. And it's very sad. So I try my best to educate and share the knowledge that we have in keeping these amazing sentient beings because people can't believe I have tortoises here that I've looked after from tiny little hatchlings like a 50-cent piece. They're huge like American football now. And they're here with me 27 years. And when they hear my voice, they respond to my voice. You know, they They want to make friends. People don't understand. Even when you encounter them in the wild, they are curious animals, and they will come to you. And if you live in their range, close to where they live and up, move around, they do come to know who you are. Because many of the tortoises I have here came from estates, 19 acres, 12 acres, 6 acres. But because the tortoise was living around the family or living around the humans on that area, when they got in trouble, they came out and came to those humans, and they were able to bring them to us to rehabilitate. We have tortoises here that are over 60 years old, and they have prolific injuries, and they're still alive.
It's one of the things that I absolutely love about turtles is how I first fell in love with turtles when I was pregnant, and I had a very rough pregnancy, and I went to a sea turtle hospital, and some of these animals had been hit by boats, or they had swallowed a piece of tire and they were trying to pass it, and it was such inspiration for me at the time that they are survivors. And that's one of the reasons that I love them so much. And they are so smart. I used to work with a sea turtle and he would recognize me and he knew I'd always scrub his shell. So he'd come up and let me scrub his shell. So they're just the coolest animals. What are some of the types of injuries and cases that you see that you have to rescue tortoises in your area?
Well, we get some that are kept as pets that are not fed correctly, so they would have issues like pyramiding because they don't get the right hydration. They're not getting the right nutrition, so their shells start to grow in not the correct way. Metabolic bone disease. The injuries we have seen, we have a lot of forest fires. Um, for two reasons. Naturally, because it's actually getting hotter and with the climate change. And secondly, because of humans being careless, either with throwing out a cigarette or also they practice a lot of slash and burn agriculture, and sometimes that can actually get out of hand and spread into the foothills or the forested areas. So from time to time, we do get tortoises. We have one now, Maui, who has burn injuries. You get predator injuries. So we have a turtle, a Rhinoclemys punctulara wood turtle, it's missing an eye. We have missing limbs. Now they can still live very productive lives. They are releasable, but we have requested permission not to release. Once they become healthy enough, they transfer into our breeding programs. Because we already have them, we don't want to go out and take them from the wild for breeding. So we requested that we could transfer them after rehabilitation, and some of them take as long as 10 years to rehabilitate. When I opened the center with the last batch of turtles and tortoises that were rehabilitated at my mother's property a few streets away from here. And they were in our care for 10 years, and they take a long time to heal. But if they're getting the right nutrition and they're living in a good, we use bioactive enclosures, so everything is natural. We try to recreate the biology of the forest floor, so mushrooms grow naturally on logs in their enclosures that they could feed on. We use a lot of the forest plants, like spider plants. They grow little pups that fall off, so they could feed forage naturally. And then, as you can see behind me, this is a mango tree. We grow a lot of food on this property that they could eat. So we have star fruit here, go over here, mango. We grow 11 different varieties of bananas. So we try to be as self-sufficient as possible. We have 27 tortoises here now, and we have 70 turtles of 4 different species, but we also help rabbits, cats, dogs. We have the Wara Agouti program because agoutis are small forest rodent that are also seed dispersers. They're also a favorite pet of the First Peoples. They're a very small animal. So we can do it we're on a urban lot. We're on a micro lot just under 7 7,000 square feet. So we're showing people what's possible in these tiny spaces, and what we also do here, we upcycle tires, we upcycle tables, we upcycle wrought iron, we upcycle beds, and we convert those materials into enclosures for the animals. We convert the old tires into pet beds and we sell them so that we could raise funds to support the work that we're doing. But we're doing major construction on this property, so we do have to get investors and funders. And slowly but surely, we've been doing it project by project. But to finish, we need to raise 50,000 US to do everything that we need to do on this property in the next 3 years. We're in the third year of our 5-year plan.
Oh, wow. Okay, so how can people help you out? Where can they send donations?
Okay, so I'm gonna just open because I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but the easiest way is for someone to get in touch with me via telephone 868-758-1823. If they have WhatsApp, they can WhatsApp that number saying that they're interested in making a contribution, and then we can send them links to go get funding where they could use their credit card or PayPal. That is managed by an alumni sister of mine in the UK because we don't have PayPal in Trinidad. But I do have overseas associates that help me with international donations. Western Union is the fastest way and one of the most cost effective. We also have bank accounts here where wire transfer can be done. So you can Google Aleeyah Amanda Ali, Aleeyah, Amanda, Amanda, Ali, Ali, and all our pages come up. Our animal division, animal and wildlife division is called Phoenix Paws and Claws Rescue and Sanctuary TT. Our website, which was only put up about 8 weeks ago again by a volunteer in the UK. So I'm going to call out that it's https colon / indigenous heritage tt.wordpress.com.
And
But basically, if you Google Indigenous Heritage TT or the Foundation for Heritage Preservation and Legacy Creation, all our links come up. We have a deep a list of projects that come up over the last 20 years because we've been on social media almost 20 years. Facebook is almost 20 years now. We went on when Facebook was like 4 months old.
wow, I can't believe it's been
So
20 years.
So everything we have done in the last 20 years has actually been uploaded to the Facebook that it's on my name, Aleeyah Amanda Ali. And in the albums, you will see it. You could Google Red Z, the Trini Clown, which is the character. So it took me 28 years to build all these units. I wasn't doing all of them at the same time, but over the 28 years, they've all been active project to project. And since 2020, they've all been working full time.
Wow, and I'll have links to everything in the show notes so people can click right on it and get right over to your page. So
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. What are some of the long-term goals? Of course, that money is going to help sustain what you're doing now, and it's so important. You said you're building. What's the big goal?
Well, our first immediate big goal is to install a public washroom on the property. Because right now we can't host any activities here because we don't have washrooms that are accessible to our guests. So that's our very first next step. After that, we have 3 areas where the floors are not casted. It's already covered, but there's no casting on the floors. And for 6 months of the year, when it rains, those floors turn into mud. Right now, we're in dry season, so we're okay. We can work for 5 to 6 months of the year. But once it starts to rain, the floor turns into mud and you can't do much. So we need to cast floors. And there's other infrastructure like we already built a room 14 by 14 that's designated as our turtle and tortoise hospital. It needs to be finished with wall-to-wall cupboards, stainless steel sinks, stainless steel tables, different veterinary supplies and equipment so that we could get volunteer vets here from our university or veterinary school, and also international interns who would like to experience indigenous culture and help animals at the same time. So we could get like Vets Without Borders kind of organizations or students from different universities who have an interest in specializing in the species that we're working with, to come and visit. And also, we need to finish a guest room so that those visitors who are coming to have an internship with us would also have accommodation.
You've got a lot of exciting plans on the horizon and lots of great things that you're doing to help our environment. That's fantastic.
Yes, and our last phase is a 75 by 18 solar powered packing house. Because we do craft and we make different culinary items, food items, and also we deal in perishable fresh produce from our different farms, which are very rural. But this urban site is very close to the airport if we want to export, or if we want to go into the distribution network of groceries. This site will be the central packing house for the rural farms. And my husband's business was actually an export of perishables and West Indian produce. So we have the experience in doing it commercially. Um, but when the pandemic hit, that business closed down because most of the orders were going overseas to very elderly customers whose children didn't want to take over the business. It was very high risk. You couldn't get the shipping out, So that's something that we want to take all those skills and expertise that we have and convert it into a program that will help, which is one of the skills that we use to create our food bank. We had farmers during the beginning of the pandemic who was destroying produce. It because they had no there was it wasn't going anywhere. There was no catering, there were no events, there were no restaurants, there was no export. And we went to them and said, listen, there are a lot of families in crisis for food. We have a small amount of money. We'd like to purchase some of your goods. And they wouldn't accept the money. They actually donated to us and gave us money to buy other produce. Because farmers are just the most noble people on this planet as far as I'm concerned. And that is how our food support pantry blossomed during the pandemic. We had nationals of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago who had family members here who they wanted to get hampers to. And they would sponsor us 10 or 15 hampers. And in those 15 hampers, they would say, listen, these 5 families are our family members. We would like hampers to be delivered to. And we will say, sure, you are given 10 families hampers, and we are providing 5 hampers to your family members that you have designated to, and you have also paid for their hampers. And that's how our food support program blossomed during the pandemic. Funds came in from England, Canada, the US, both foreign nationals and Trinidadians, Tobagonians living overseas who wanted to contribute something. So, that's where this technology has been so amazing that people could see the work that we were doing. They could see that we were going to our farms and taking up produce from our farms and creating fresh produce hampers, not just dry goods and tin foods, but really healthy things to give people to feed their families during the pandemic.
Your company is so amazing in that a lot of people, they see an animal, they're like, why should I save this animal? And you are a perfect example of if we save the turtles, we're helping to save the seeds and we're helping to feed our families and people in need. It really comes full circle
Absolutely.
and shows how
Yes,
it's all connected.
it is. It is all interconnected. And we are also a waste disposal solution as well, because instead of food waste just being dumped, we use a lot of food waste, like rejected produce that isn't human edible, but the animals can still eat it. So when we go to collect donations from farmers, now they understand. They give us what's able to be fed to humans, families, as one collection. And then they say, okay, well, these 4 bags here are all the leaves that fell off the lettuce while we were taking out the ones we to give to families, and those would be then fed to the animals. So we're also almost a zero waste operation. When we go out on events, we use leaves and plants and things that are all natural or reusable. Like, for example, we upcycle water tanks, we cut them into rings and bases. So when we go out, those old water tanks that had a hole somewhere in them that can't be used as water storage for a house anymore, we have now converted them into display units to take the animals out when they go out as educational ambassadors. So we try to really minimize our costs and minimize our waste. Another one of the programs that our organization does is we help stop about 1,000 pounds of clothing, fashion, from going to the dump every month, because people collect clothes that their children have grown out of, or things that they wouldn't use anymore because they have disposable income and they could keep buying new things. And we collect those items or they drop them off and they are laundered here. We do any repairs that may be required. If something has, a misstitch or a little hole and it could be repaired, and we tell them nothing is too old, because farmers don't want to wear their best clothes to go into the garden. So the women would take all long sleeve men's shirts that they could no longer wear to the office. And when they go into the garden where there's a lot of overgrown weeds, or because we use agroforestry. So sometimes in the dry season, we allow the weeds to grow up around the plant because it keeps the plant cool and it shades the plant from heat. And it's only when the rain, just before the rain start, they would go and clear out those weeds. So they would need long sleeve protective clothing. So we are able to upcycle and recycle a lot of even men's clothes that no one will wear again. The women are happy to get long sleeve with a collar that they can roll up and protect themselves when they go into the garden from the insects and from the heat and from the long weeds that may be in that particular parts of the bush. So, we really try our best to show people you could make something out of nothing.
Like a win-win all around. So do you take time to
Absolutely.
sleep or vacation or anything? You are a super
Um,
busy woman.
Let me tell you, I love the work I do so much. It's like if I'm living my vacation and my dream every day.
That's amazing.
It's so wonderful to see, that this isn't going to be wasted. Families can use it. All the things that are good that could be reused. We have young men coming out of rural villages that need to go to interviews. They're now getting started on their jobs. They're really happy to receive a lot of the items. Some of the items still have tags on them. So we are redistributing and managing assets of the those that have liquid cash and disposable income, and helping those who are now stepping up. And it's such an amazing, wonderful feeling that honestly I'm energized. I think I get a great amount of sleep, 6 to 8 hours every night. Um, but we go to bed really late sometimes, 2 or 3 o'clock. But I don't have to get up early, because if we do our rounds at 4 o'clock in the morning, when I get up mid morning, I know I've already done my morning rounds. I take my rest as I need it. I'm also a cancer survivor. I had cancer in 2022, and my entire tribe and known and unknown supported me through endometrium cancer, and I'm in recovery and I'm doing really well. I'm very happy to be here, to be alive, to be able to move forward with the work that we're doing. Turtles and tortoises are such an inspiration. They're
Yeah.
survivors, they're hardy, they're so cute. Everything about them is so amazing. So I'm very happy in the work that I'm doing, and I feel that I'm living my dream. I just need to get more resources to continue the work.
Well, we are almost out of time, and I would love to have you back on further down the road and get an update from you. And before we go, and thank you so much for being on the show. Before we go, what is one tip that you have for someone that would like to connect with nature?
Just go into nature that appeals to you. If you love the ocean, the mountains, whatever it is in nature that you like, don't wait another second. Just get out there and immerse yourself in it. You will find peace and you will find healing.
Until next time, get outside and see what develops.
Thanks for joining Wild Development Studio. We hope this exploration into the world of wildlife arts and adventure has sparked a desire to get outside and connect with something wild. If you have an adventure that's awe-inspiring, don't hesitate to share. Click the link in the description to submit your story to have it featured on our show or be a guest. Until next time, keep connecting to the wild and see what develops. The views, opinions, and statements expressed by individuals during Wild Development Studio productions do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wild Development Studio or its affiliates. Participation in any activities, expeditions, or adventures discussed or promoted during our content may involve inherent risks. It is strongly advised that individuals conduct thorough research, seek professional guidance, and take all necessary precautions before engaging in any such activities. Wild Development Studio, its representatives, or employees shall not be held responsible for any injury, loss, damage, accident, or unforeseen incident that may occur as a result of participating in activities inspired by or discussed in our content. By choosing to engage with our content or act upon any information provided, individuals do so at their own risk and discretion.